but at its heart, it is a easy listening IM with amazing details, amazing bass, silky smooth mids, and fantastic vocals. Again, because it's so damn tunable, you could dial it into you. I think the DTE900 does all genres. The DTE900 goes into bass head territory. Clearly hear that playing on some pots and pans. It's lovely. Good job. I like it loud, and I like the bass, and I like where the highs don't fizzle your ears out. This was Mama Bear's porridge. Just right. Golf clap. Hello, everyone. This is the Tone Deaf Monk. Today, I'm bringing you a trifecta of goodness. There's 3 IMs on my table, and I've done a review on 2 of them. And they're probably up there on my favorite list, all 3 of these bad boys. Today I'm going to talk to you about the new SoundRhyme DTE900 hybrid. On the table, just shits and giggles, little comparison. It's going to be the Zen's Mangered Up, one of my all-time favorite sets. And I have the Canera Imperial LOKI here just as a comparison. So SoundRhyme $749, my custom Zen's Up are $699, and the Imperial LOKI is $3,099 only. So let's get started. Bang! Before we do that, I'm going to flip the camera around, show you what's on the table. So just for this review, some of the gear that I used, I switched up the Hibby R6 Pro 2 for a Shanling M6 Ultra. I'm going to do a video between the Hibby and the Shanling. Let's just say that this is by far a better player. Over here is the new X-Duo XD05 Pro. Got it in turbo mode, running off of power supply, external power supply. My Shanling is being connected through USB OTG cable, which is then going to be running the ESS DAC inside of the XD05. For a purpose, because I've done so much listening between the AKM 4493 DAC in this one and the ESS, specifically trying to get the best out of the DTE 900. So that's my going to be my impressions of that. And then, of course, over here is the Zen's Mangered Ups that I have, and the Imperial LOKIs. So let's get into that. All right, I'm back, and let's jump into this review here. It's going to be a longer one, and I will timestamp it. Let's go into the DTE 900, a little bit of specs, just so you get a feel for this bad boy. 9 drivers per side. That's a lot. So it's a tribrid, and it's consisting of this. So it's one 9.2 millimeter titanium coated dynamic driver, four Knowles BAs. So there's two for the mids and two for the highs. If you care which ones they are a 29689 for the mids and a 31736 for the highs. And there's four Sonian ESTs 6500 series QB02 in there. So there's quite a bit of drivers. You couldn't tell that there isn't just a single driver, though. That's how coherent this thing is. The cable itself is an 8-strand SPC cable, modular, 2.5, 4.4, 3.5, all included in the packaging, which is terrific. Sounds great, soft and flexible. No need to swap it out if you don't want to. It actually sounds really good. It's a good pairing with this IM. I've tried a bunch of other cables. The faceplates are customizable. Here you can see that mine has kind of like a silver silk on the top. It looks baller. Underneath, and then clear resin, and then on top is the Sound Rhyme logo. My shells have also a little bit of silver flake in them and a semi-translucent shell, and you can see the drivers inside. On the side, there are two little tuning switches. There you go. You know how much I love those. The nozzles themselves have also an embedded stainless steel nozzle, which is fabulous, with a little ridge to hold a death grip on your ear tips. On the other side, there is a little metal vent as well. That one's going to be a little hard to see with my colorway, but hopefully you can see it. There it is. And the shell shape is like that semi-custom shell shape. Fairly small for 9 drivers per side. It's quite amazing. Compared to the LOKI, the LOKI is considerably chonkier. Hard to tell, but yeah, no, it really is. And then compared to the other one we're going to compare, which is the Zen Vanguard Ups, very, very similar, almost identical, which these are one of the best fitting for me. These also fit fantastic. If you want to see fitment, why the hell not? So custom cable, stock cable. Really nicely in there. Wow. When I get these Osla crystal tips inserted in there, and I just freshly washed them, man, does it seal up. Now, that's actually an interesting... so customizable shells, $45 extra. That's pretty decent, I thought. Talking about these shells, in case you weren't aware, SoundRhyme actually has invested in EnvisionTech's German machines that actually do 3D printing. These are the best 3D printers in the world. They're German, just like me, yeah. Jawohl, das ist gut, ja. Now, that's enough about the shells. I want to talk about the DTE900 and its tunability. This is going to be another chapter. Tunability, we'll call it. Why? Wow. What a journey this has been. I think that this DTE900, the SoundRhyme, is probably the most tunable IM I have yet to hear. And this includes the 64 Audio U12, U18s, the Grand Maestro frat frequency, everything with a tuning switch. And this is funny because I'm going to pull up a graph right now. Now, when I measured it, the two switches, I looked a few times just because I didn't see a huge difference on paper, on graph, of what these two tuning switches are doing. But I will tell you that even though it looks subtle on paper, it isn't in the ear, which is very odd. So yes, they do make changes subtly on paper, big time in your ears. And that plays into part of why this is such a tunable IM. So the DTE SoundRhyme DTE900 goes from analytical bright with a bass boost to incredibly smooth and relaxed. And it all depends on a bunch of factors. And this is where the journey and the tuning came into play. So earlier I showed you the gear that I had playing on this. And I was switching back and forth from the ESS DAC and the X Duo to the Shandling's AKM DAC. Now, there is no doubt that the AKM and the Shandling is a warmer colored sound, and I love that, especially on certain IMs. And I also love the fact that I have the ability, whether I plug it in at 4.4 balanced and use the X Duos, if I do the 4.4, that would be using the Shandling's AKM DAC and just using the X Duo as amplifier only. Or if I'm doing like in my picture where I have the USB connected, then the Shandling is just basically a transport sending the music over into the DAC of the X Duo and the ESS. Now the ESS DAC in the X Duo, if I haven't lost you at this point, is the more resolving of the two DACs. It's very linear and very clean. It is an exceptionally great quality DAC inside of that. And so then I'm playing around. Also, I didn't mention that plugged into mine was also this Pen-On 4.4 25 ohm impedance adapter, and that also played in. So where to go? So on the journey, on the tuning, and I listen to, there's two favorite positions that I like on this. Up, up, so bass on, treble on, and down, down. And when you put it to the up, up mode, to me, that sounds fantastic. It has enough low end slam and enough high end to bring all the instruments, vocals into play, and not be too warm. And I think it needs both. Well, for my taste, right? Subjective, of course. And then shooting the shit with Tony Tex. And he mentioned, hey, you should try this 25 ohm adapter. And I just got it in a couple days ago. So then I listened to some more before I got to here. And he said, try it with putting the switches down, down. And what it'll do is, yes, it does lower the bass shelf, but it also lowers the high-end shelf as well. And this just smooths out the top end. So versus up, up. That's kind of my favorite setting without this. And up, up gives me enough sparklies and twinklies that I like. If I wanted to put the 4 ohm or the 4.4 25 ohm impedance adapter on, what this does is smooths it out a bit more yet. It is so tunable. of how smooth do you want it? How much details do you want? It's pretty it's pretty amazing. And this is a journey, if you pick this up, that you can do yourself. Tips. Wow. Oh my God. So, same thing. Up until last night, was using the JVC FX10 spiral dots. Now, for me, these tips reduce a bit of the upper end harshness and maybe sacrifice a little bit of the bottom end bass. And so I finally went around to my final configuration that I'm doing my impressions of. Okay. Shanling M6 Ultra as transport, sending it out to the X Duo, using the ESS DAC inside of this thing, 9039S Pro, and in turbo mode, which is their highest output. And even though they all sounded pretty damn good, 4.4 impedance adapter, using stock cable, and the switches are in the down position. Okay, this is how it sounded. Individual track impressions. Let's go there into this next chapter. Let's start off with Keith Don't Go by Nils Lofgren. What a playback. So liquid smooth. Okay, I apologize right up front if I've overused the word smooth, but that isn't the best way, one of the best ways to describe this IM. What a playback. Excellent stage, deep and wide. Gotta tell you, the stage is pretty fantastic on the DTE900. One of the best out there. The guitar was a real standout. Like he is playing, I haven't seen a picture of it, but I can mentally picture him in a chair with, there's at least 4 mics. There's a mic on it must be on his lap. It must be when he's playing, because he sings. So you can hear the lower mic on the guitar. You can hear the strings. It's mind-blowingly awesome. Then he sings, and you can hear the mic up higher. You can hear the stage, and this stage, so there must be mics facing the rear view, and you can hear this big, wide open stage. So that is what the replay came, and it was amazing. The bass depth and the detail were great. Nils' vocals were spot on, silky smooth again. Top end of this on that track, and these 4 ESTs are beautiful. The ESTs are working. They're sparkling away. They're giving that added extra little nuances of detail at the very top end, which EST drivers are known to do, and it's a unique sound. You don't get that from a dynamic driver, and it's very rare from a balanced armature. Turn My Head from Live, one of my favorite rock bands of all time. Male vocals, perfect tone, just the perfect amount of top end as well. So hard to do this track with lots of low end bass male vocals and not have the high end wash out or be too glary. Butterflies by Casey Musgraves. It catches the timbre in her voice, right? The nuances, her particular tonality in her voice. It captures it perfectly. Next one with Ozzy, D, right? So tribute guitar solo, the pulls, the slides, the plucks, they're all so smoothly done and detailed. I'll get into the bass later in overall impressions, but it's one of the standouts of this IM. Nothing Else Matters by Miley Cyrus. So female vocals, bass hits, deep and detailed. Miley's vocals are spot on. Top end, sparkle again, and details are actually very balanced in the mix. Great bass, great vocals, great high end, great rock track. Superman, it's not easy. 5 for fighting. Male vocals are just perfect. If there's any bass bleed with this configuration, the way I've set it up, it's lovely. Good job. It colors it in a way that I love it. It works, right? Not all that IMs do that. Some color it too much to make it sound too thick and muck up female vocals. Not at all. Your Song by Elton John. Here I'm trying to listen to piano and the details. And again, Elton John's vocals, they had the great weight to them. So, let's just go to a little bit more rock here. You Must Burn by Metallica. Slam. Ooh. Slam hard and tight. Guitars blend in so well. And the Lars's vocals are amazing. So I love fast, tight bass. I also like deep bass. I love the combination thereof, but if I had a choice, I would take faster, speedier bass over deep, visceral bass. Happy to say that this 9.5 millimeter titanium coated driver does that well. Oh, yeah, let's just change pace here. My Girl, Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. I didn't think I'd listen to this stuff, but I do. Great stage. A few times you can hear a few of the drum hits. So in this track, you're listening to it, and there is a drum hit that goes from right side, center, left side, and as it goes across the stage, there must be more than one drummer, and they've mixed it where, okay, you can definitely hear the left one is farther back. They're probably at the back of the orchestra. And then they mixed it where it's getting closer into the center, but you can clearly tell that the left drum is significantly closer. Very hard to do. Only great IMs with great stage can do this. And it did it really well. Not the best. Twilight. But extremely well done. Bring Me Some Water by Melissa Etheridge. I love female vocals, and I love how they have, in certain ones, they have a grit, an edge to their voice. Like Miley Cyrus, like Melissa Etheridge, it works for me. The DTE900 plays this one with her singing up closer. And this was kind of interesting, and it shows you the amazing depth of this IM that can do. Just great vocals, but what really kind of impressed me was the fact that on this track, you could clearly hear that the mic is recorded real close to you, like you're 5 feet in the recording studio. Where other tracks, you could be like Metallica S&M Live, you can clearly tell that you were 100 feet away from them in the little mixing booth. Nothing Else Matters. Let's do this same exact song again, but done by PG Roxette. I had a huge grin on my face because on this track, the bass tickles your ear hairs. There's enough bottom end to move your ear hairs and still have incredible vocals. Like clean, clear female vocals. Crisp. Well done. You Don't Know Me. Now, here's an interesting one, too. Ray Charles and Diana Krall. Duets are really hard to reproduce, especially if your IM or whatever you're listening to is favoring one over the other, right? Sometimes females are favored if it has more high-frequency energy or the pinna gain. In this particular case, with my setup, impedance adapter, all that happy jazz, the duet, male and female, both Ray and Diana vocals are spot on. So correct. Golf clap. Bad Liar, Selima Gomez. One of the best playbacks I've heard so far. So incredibly smooth. That's the second time I've said that. Let's go into Packed Like Sardines in a Crushed Tin Box by Radiohead. Bottom end is wonderful. The pulls are great. The hits are fantastic. You can clearly hear that they're playing on some pots and pans. It's very realistic. Very cool. Rackham. Dead Can Dance. Please don't correct me if I've got my track. You'll figure it out, right? No need. Sound like this is an interesting one for stage as well. And I've listened to this track, I don't know, 100 times. But with the DTE900, it was the first time I got it where you sound like you're in a very large studio while they're recording it, but you're in the crowd. You're like in an opera crowd, right? You're in the back. It was very cool. Give Life Back to Music, little EDM, Daft Punk. I wrote the ultimate EDM IEM. Okay. That was a question mark, but I don't know. Might very well be. I mean, playing EDM, I like it loud, and I like the bass, and I like where the highs don't fizzle your ears out. Yeah. Conga Blue, Watermelon Man, Poncho Sanchez, one of my favorite jazz artists, Latin jazz. He's amazing. Does the DTE 900 play jazz? Oh, yes. Amazing drums, instruments, sound very lively and very, very good. Without Me, Lilium remix by Halsey. Oh, does the DTE 900 goes into basshead territory? It does, really does. Cello Concerto by Azir Polo. Strings, now in this case, have very cello, great depth and weight, and the way they sound realistic is a standout. That's why I'm mentioning it. The tonality of the strings and the way it could pull down to that level, also fantastic. I was also just listening to some classical as well. And I think the DTE 900 does all genres. And again, because it's so damn tunable, you could dial it into you, right? That was just some overall track impression that I wanted to share with you. Let's go to overall sound impressions. How does the DTE 900 sound? Well, again, because it's so tunable, but let's start off with the lowest octaves in the bass. Bass it goes low. It hits hard. It hits fast. It has note weight. It takes its time when it needs to. When there's a note, then it wants to carry on with the attack and decay. It does that very, very well. The mids are... I would have swore that there is Sonian mid BAs in here. That's how smooth it is. And I will compare that in a bit to another one, the Zen's Mangard with Sonian mids in the BAs. Actually uses Sonian BAs all around, 4 of them for mids and highs. And it's incredibly smooth, and vocals are bang on, female and male. I like the edge that it could bring out in vocals, female especially, and it had excellent note weight to male vocals without overdoing them and making them sound husky. I didn't get, if there was, like I said in one of those tracks, if there was any bass bleed, it's done so incredibly well. I don't mind it at all. And not enough to screw up female vocals, that's for sure. Upper mids, again, could be tamed by either the switches, tips, cables, impedance adapter, sources, and mood. It's hard to describe an IM that can be such a chameleon, that can be changed so much by so many different things. And again, not all IMs can do that. Only one of the best, the resolving ones, the ones that are special. And I think the DTE900 is there. The ESTs are very well implemented. Some people want, the LOKI. And amazing. It is a $3,000, over $3,000 IM. They have 4 Sonian ESTs in here, just like the DTE900. But the difference being is that these ones are implemented where they clearly tuned them to have more energy up top. You can clearly hear the ESTs, where in the DTE900 they are there to enhance. And that's one of the big differences between these two IMs. And it does it in overall, I think at its heart, the DTE900 is a little bit more musical, a little bit more rounded, a little bit more lush presentation at its heart, at its core. And then you can play around with the top end a little bit. But at its heart, it is a easy listening IM with amazing details, amazing bass, silky smooth mids, and fantastic vocals. That's a DTE 900 in a nutshell. Let's do comparisons between these two other drivers. So my Zen's Mangered Ups. There they are there. These custom shells, which are rare. This is one of my all-time favorite IMs. The difference between the two. So this one uses a 10 millimeter beryllium coated driver. It uses 4 Sonian BAs, 2 for mids, 2 for highs, and only 2 ESTs for the Sonian ESTs for the implementation of this. So it's a 1 plus 4 plus 2. The DT900 is a 1 plus 6. 1 plus 4 plus 4. Sorry. All these numbers. And then the LOKI takes that to, 1 6 millimeter LCP driver, 6 Knowles BAs, 4 EST drivers, and a bone conduction driver. Back to how does this compare to Zen's Mangered Up? One of my all-time favorite sets. Well, it's an improvement over that. I mean, I know the retail to retail is only $50, but what you get is cleaner sounding vocals on the DTE 900, more energy, more resolution, and tunable. if I would stop recommending this now, because this will take over, right? Some of the criticisms of the Mangered Up were that the ESTs weren't too sparkly enough. I think they're nice. I think the DTE900 with the 4 versus the 2 definitely adds some more in that, but the tuning and the enhanced pinna gain in the upper mid-range definitely puts the vocals clearer on the DTE900 while still remaining incredibly smooth in the mids. Sonyin, I love for the BA mids, but I prefer Knowles for the high end. But these sound like the Sonian BAs for the mids. They're that well tuned. Going compare against the Loki. The Loki, if you haven't watched my review, will shut up people who say that Canera can't tune IMs, because that is completely proven false. It's a wonderful IM. The difference between these two is, first of all, the bottom end. At $3,099, the bottom end is more on the leaner side. That 6mm in here goes freaking low. Amazing sub bass. And then they use the bone conduction driver to do the upper bass and mid bass. And it's really well implemented. Is it DTE 900 level? Not even close. The DTE 900 kicks its ass on bass. Speedier, more, just as low, just as visceral. It's fantastic. Mids, using these Knowles, the 6 Knowles BAs, is where the big difference comes into place, and the 4 ESTs in conjunction. There is more energy up top. The Loki kind of leans to a little thinner, a little more vocal forward, and the DTE 900 plays a bit more musical and a little bit more laid back in the mix. So if you were looking for a higher energy set, and I gotta say, I'll say this right off the bat, if I would buy this over this if they were the same price. Right? I think the DTE 900 for me is a better tuned IM than the Loki. Man, I sure do love the way it presents. It's amazing, the upper end. But for me, I like a bit more body in my note weight. I love my bass, and I love my sparkly twinklies without going in too much, where that's a little not hot, but this is more balanced for me. Yeah, I mean, this, to me, again, I prefer the DTE 900 over the $3,099 Loki. For my personal taste, I just like the way this sounds. It checks every one of my boxes: bass, low bass, fast tight bass, good quality bass, excellent mids, smooth, correct tonality for vocals, male and female, lots of highs, strings that sound good, strings that sound normal, natural. They hit with a nice weight. Piano sounds good, nice weight. Violin, they all play. Trumpet in jazz. When I was listening to some jazz, wherein the Loki was a little bit too much, a little too forward. The ups were a little too laid back. And this was Mama Bear's porridge. Just right. I don't know what else to talk about. I think you would want to put some power to this. When I played these things off my Hibby R6 Pro 2, it didn't, with 380 milliwatts of power, I could tell that that DAP just didn't have enough headroom and dynamics that the SoundRhyme DTE900 were asking for. Off of the X Duo, I'm almost playing with 2 watts of power into these things. And yeah, I mean, I didn't get past, 35 on that thing with the impedance adapter. And it is in its happy zone. So yeah, putting more power into them for sure. And again, I'm not going to recommend whether you choose a warm source or an analytical source, because with this particular IM, you're going to want to dial it in. If you want a warmer, smoother, then you would choose a warmer source, and it will translate that. You will hear it. If you want a more detailed and analytical sound, well, then you're going to pick up something with that kind of DAC in them. Ooh, it's quite warm, actually. Never noticed that before. Something you're not going to want to put in your lap. Well, maybe for winter. I don't know. Edit this shit out, Monk. You don't need to talk about this. Last thoughts and words. Let's give you my conclusion of the SoundRhyme DTE900. Well, I think it's one hell of an IM. I think it's a smashing purchase. It's a lot of money again, but you're going to get a lot of IM. Extremely tunable. My advice would be to listen to it on 0-0, switches down. If you want a more mellow IM, throw on a 25 ohm impedance adapter, and you got a completely different super mellow IM. So that's my call. I'm just listening to it right now with some really technical guitar and on 0-0 without the impedance adapter on the ESS DAC, and I love the high end and the details and the ESTs. And I also love it with the 25 ohm adapter just chilling out. That's what's awesome about this IM. You know, again, here's the Canera LOKI. It's $3,099. This gets very close. But better bass, more musical, smoother, and a nicer vocal replay. For me. There you go. This is the Monk. I'm out. Anyway, that's it for now. This is the Tone Deaf Monk. I'm obviously not tone deaf because I can hear what a wonderful sounding IM is. It's going to be one of my top recommendations. It's up there. I mean, at $750, it is a chunk of change. But I think it would be worth saving up for. I think the Zen's Up, I've recommended hundreds of times. And I know anybody who's picked it up that likes that kind of tonality, loves that. Here's a graph of the two. Just, again, to show you that they're very close. But the DTE is its better, for sure. And if you had $3,099, that Imperial LOKI, it's pretty nice. But the bass of this one, visceral, fast, love it.